We have been married for 2 years. My husband became the new president when my father-in-law retired. He had always respected his father and he had worked hard to succeed him. He was delighted to be named his successor. I had been working part-time as well. My father-in-law arranged for me to continue to work there. On the day my husband George's appointment was decided, we celebrated together. We promised to do our best together from now on. 1 year after he became president, I became George's secretary and accountant. I would support George as he worked hard every day. I decided to do so, and although the dual role was tough, I worked hard to make sure everything was in order. George became more and more arrogant about his position as president. The gentle character he once had was now nowhere to be found. His work was now centered on entertaining guests and playing golf. I would do the paperwork for him and he would just stamp it. When the guests come to our office, he handles it only if it fits him, otherwise I would handle it. Sometimes he would lie and say he wasn't available. He would lie about his absence and have the executive director or managing director take care of the work for him. He became arrogant in his personal life as well. He would only come home 2 days out of the week. He says he was on a business trip or was entertaining the company's guests, but he couldn't prove it from the receipts I got. The suspicions only grew. George, who had a reputation as such a loving husband, no longer smiled at me, but gave me condescending looks and cold stares. The employees began to express their dissatisfaction with George's self-serving attitude. The leadership of the company would collapse if things continued as they were. The company that my father-in-law had built up to this point, and with such trust, I don't want to destroy it by creating such an atmosphere of tension. But I think it's only natural to be dissatisfied with George. I hope it's at least a comfort to the colleagues, and I told them, I'm sure he's just acting high and mighty right now, but he'll be back to the serious president he used to be. Yes, it must be just for now. Then one day, I came home to find the door unlocked and a pair of shoes belonging to a woman I didn't know. I was almost overcome with fear, but I decided to open the door to the living room. Are you George's wife by any chance? I borrowed his key and entered the house without permission. I just came to get a change of clothes for George. A young woman was there. She was rummaging around in the travel bag, putting George's clothes in there. I grabbed the woman's arm as she was leaving, pretending as if nothing had happened, and questioned her. Where are you going with my husband's clothes? And why do you have the house key? 2 questions burst out of my bewildered head, and I must ask what kind of relationship they are. My heart starts pounding, and I found it hard to breathe. The woman shakes off my hand and... It hurts! George says I'm better than you. I'm young, have still a bright future, and beautiful. He hardly ever comes home right now, does he? He's not coming home. He is in my house, you know. You're an incompetent old woman. You should stay miserably at home and wait for your husband who doesn't come home. And you should eat your dinner alone. A woman like that who laughs through her nose and seems to enjoy... I mean, this person is George's adulterous partner, and he's cursing me like that behind my back? To be honest, he doesn't have a good taste. From the way she is dressed, her makeup, and the time of day I wonder if she is a hostess. I don't mean to disparage anyone who works at night entertainment, but from her attitude and the way she talks, because I can see that she is not well educated. If she works at night, she is not cut out for it. People who work hard in that world have class. Above all, they have common sense. And yet, what the hell? The woman in front of me? Isn't she an insane person whose only strength is her youth? I felt anger and sadness running through me in an instant. I was no longer sad. Rather, I was calmly dismayed at how stupid he was. The woman was gone before I knew it. She told me I wasn't even young, but George was 35 and I was 25. I don't know what he's talking about when he got a wife 10 years younger than him. At any rate, with that woman I just met. I didn't want to see her again, so I started cleaning up the house. After the vacation break, I came to work carrying a large bag of stuff. The employees were surprised to see me and approached me. I only thanked them for their kindness and went straight into the president's office. "Hey, you're late." The clock struck 10. George was irritated with me being an hour late. You also got here, didn't you?" I almost said so, but I could see that he was going to yell at me. I didn't say anything and put my big baggage on the couch. "What's that?" "Your luggage was in the house. I sent the big stuff to your parents' house, and I figured if you weren't coming back, I should act like that. I already canceled the lease." George was not happy about the sudden cancellation of his lease, but I asked him to be quiet because we are in the office. To be honest, I thought we could support each other forever, so I'm sad to see you go, but since you became president, you have changed too much. I've decided to leave that house where I have so many memories, in the hope that he'll return to his true George. I hope that you realize how foolish you are now, even if only a little. I would like to go back to being a couple again someday. That is what I thought. And yet, instead of thinking about it, George even started to bring that woman to the office with him. I told his employees that she was a business partner. She comes in and out 3 times a week. Each time I went to serve her tea and I had to bow to her, which was extremely unpleasant. I thought her clothes and makeup were too over for a business partner. I began to hear rumors that she might be a boss's mistress. Rumors began to circulate like that. As his wife, my position in the company was getting more unpleasant. Finally, I was called into the president's office and he introduced me to that mistress as his girlfriend. The woman looked at me with a victorious look on her face. I suppressed my anger, trying not to make an eye contact. "So, are you admitting to adultery?" I suppressed the urge to raise my voice and I asked him in a normal tone as possible. "Are you jealous? But it has nothing to do with you. I'll use this money for a trip starting tomorrow." George, who looked down at me to the end, showed me a familiar bank book. "Why do you have that? Give it back. It's a bank book I've been saving up to open my own grocery store in the future." She found it when she went to get my stuff. I'd be very grateful for it. Listen to me. Disobey me and you are divorced. What you're doing is stealing. You can't just go into someone's house and steal their bank book. I glared at the woman. Then my husband smacked me on the cheek with his already filled-in divorce papers. "Why don't you say something, huh?" I had run out of patience. I snatched the divorce paper from his hand. I filled it out on the spot and handed it back to him. I guess he didn't expect me to agree to a divorce. George looked at me with a pout. Instead, the woman took the divorce papers from my hand, and at the moment, I took the bank book back from him. "This is the money for my future that I worked so hard for. If you want a divorce, I'd be glad to, but what you did is a crime. I will never forgive you." When I get angry, George starts yelling at me. "You know, you will get fired from your job here too. Well, you are just a former part-timer. She can do the same job better than you can. I do not care if you leave." I'm not bothered by George making fun of me because I'm a part-timer. I was completely fed up with him and walked out of the president's office. It's so crazy, but George went on a trip the next day and didn't come to work. While he was gone, I completed my resignation and left the company. Then I headed to my father-in-law's new company. My father-in-law had been fond of my work since my part-time days. He had suggested not to work at George's company, but with him. I had turned down the offer because I wanted to support George. However, when I discussed this matter with him along with the divorce report, he asked me to come work for him again.
Welcome to the office.
My father-in-law, who greeted me kindly, gladly hired me, and he even made me a full-time employee. I was able to regain my fulfilling life in a comfortable working environment. My father-in-law's leadership of his employees and his caring attitude toward his employees were all things I had come to know and respect about him. I think of all the employees who were still working at George's company. I feel a little sorry when I think of them. Then one day, George came to our office. He looks like a different person, emaciated and gaunt. George's father sends him to the president's office and begins to talk to him.
I was wrong about everything. Please come back to my company, please.
George, who wants me to come back by hanging on to me, and then my father-in-law pulls him off of me.
Are you feeling grateful for the wife you've given up now? And even if you realize how capable she is as an employee, it's too late. Come in.
And then my father-in-law called out to the people who came in. They were the managers of George's company. They will be working here from today.
Huh?
George's face pales at the statement, and he stuffs it in his face, asking why.
I heard all about it, how you were pushing your work to your subordinates, that you didn't earn their trust, and that you were doing whatever you wanted at the company's expense. And the fact that even though Lena prosecuted about the bank book, but no one took it up, that's because you covered it up with the money. I heard that you gave Lena's job, which you ridiculed as a part-time job, to your new girlfriend, but she couldn't do anything perfectly, and because of her, your business partners cut the contract with you. I know you are in a dangerous situation right now, but I don't plan to help you, and I don't want to waste a career of my valued employees. These people came here on their own volition. Your current incompetent secretary filled her resignation. You let the servants' process end up in the palm of your hand. There's nothing you can do about it. You should be ashamed of the stupidity of your past actions.
He must have thought that his father would help him, George standing there in the middle of the unexpected turn of events. I feel sorry for him, but as my father-in-law said, he deserved it, so it can't be helped.
Mr. President, thank you for your help in the short time I was with you.
They are the people who had climbed to management positions. No matter how useless the top management is, they treat him with courtesy until the end. Seeing such former subordinates, George, who is reluctant to leave, will he reflect himself this time? A few months later, George's company went bankrupt. George has no place to go, and the woman he was with at the time has left him. He is now living a part-time life. With the help of his father-in-law, I succeeded in suing that woman again for theft. After that, I was able to get the money from her, who identified herself as Brown. I was able to receive it without incident. She is now looking for a new partner to take advantage of again, and she was sued by other women too. So she intends to have a partner pay her, but she has no one to pay them. She was fired from the hostess club where she worked. She was so desperate for money that she went into theft, and she was successfully arrested. She is now living her second life behind bars. And what happened to me since then?
Lena, I have a new business venture, a revolving grocery store. I'd like to put you in charge of it. Do you want to try it?
Yes, I would like to. Please let me try. 3 months ago, I transferred to a new business, a company of my father-in-law. It is a new business venture, and I was given the responsibility to manage the first store. That will be a general merchandise store that aims to expand nationwide. A dream that unexpectedly came true. From opening the store to attracting customers, it wasn't easy. But I'm grateful to my friends who supported me and to my father-in-law who expects a lot from me. Above all, I was able to do my best for what I love. Welcome to the store. I'm now able to stand proudly in front of the store as a store manager. I can do what I always wanted to do. My dream of owning a store has come true. I am now running through my days intending to expand nationwide. I can say that I am a happy person now. Make my future brighter. I will continue to face any difficulties that may come my way.